Hello class. This week we're going to be covering the different blending modes Photoshop has to offer. I feel that this is one of the more important classes for a second semester Photoshop course because without this, a lot of times what you'll end up doing when you're trying to select a blending mode is scroll through them all. And that can be a waste of time because if you only need it to do one or two things, you don't need to check 27 different blending modes. You just need to check like 2 or 3 of them and find the one that will work best for you. So real fast, a blending mode is a way for Photoshop to interpret pixels between layers. Occasionally it will be interpreting pixels between application. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But for example, let's say we have this statue and we have these leaves. We could go up and click here, and this is just our blending mode on the layers option. And we can do things like set it from normal to dissolve, and we'll see nothing happen, and darken, multiply, color burn, linear burn, darken color, lighten, screen, color dodge, linear dodge, lighten color, overlay, soft light, hard light, vivid light, linear light, pin light, hard mix, difference, exclusion, subtraction, divide, hue, saturation, color, luminosity. So all of these have a meaning to them, and all of them have a formula that they're using to do the calculations. But they also show up in other places besides just the layer blending modes. They show up in things like brushes. So if we were to be okay with destructive edits, we could bring up our brushes with under our keyboard. I'm sorry, I got the history brush for some reason. And then if we just created a new layer, we could paint away like we always do. Let me grab some swatches here. Let's say we had some orange, and then we had some green, normal stuff, right? But you notice that it has modes up in the corner. We can click up here and it has all of the same modes with a couple of extras behind and clear. We, for example, could do a multiply mode. And you can see how it's making things darker as it goes over. We could do the screen mode, which will make things lighter whatever it goes over. And we could do overlay mode, which will determine whether, depending on if this is a lighter or dark color, it will make things brighter or darker. If it's a light color, it will make things brighter. And if it's a dark color, it will make things darker. What do I mean by light or dark? What I mean is if the brightness is above a certain amount, and that certain amount is 50%, it will lighten things. If it's below a certain amount, and that certain amount again is 50%, it will darken things. Let me go ahead and paint in. You can see how it's getting a darker color now. All right, so some questions spring to mind. What are all of these? What are all these doing? Like, why do we have so many of them? Well, we'll go over them and you can see for yourself what they're for and how to use them from then on in. We're going to start with the standard modes, or the normal mode, dissolve, and we'll also touch on what the behind and clear do. And then from there, we'll get into everything else. We're also going to talk a little bit about how transparency works as we get into it. And we'll be working a bit with the blending options that appear inside of our layer styles. If you recall from earlier videos, I've gone in here from time to time to adjust opacity or grab a different blending mode. And you can see that the blending modes exist here as well. It also has some advanced blending features and the ability to do blend if, and we'll be touching on that towards the end of these videos. All right, stick around and we're going to have a lot of fun. I'll see you next video as we cover normal, dissolve, behind, and clear.